All right, so I am making bread today because my boyfriend absolutely demolished the bread that I made on Monday. So I am adding 1 1/3 cup of filtered water to a measuring glass. And then also to the measuring glass, I am adding about a tablespoon of honey. I measure with my heart. This is to feed your yeast. You're also going to add 2 teaspoons of yeast. That's about 1 packet of the dry active yeast. I get it from Walmart. And then I'm just going to whisk that together. Then you grab a large mixing bowl, and then I use some all purpose unbleached flour from Costco. I add 3 cups of that to the mixing bowl. Um, you can add more or less depending on if you live in a very humid area. I do, so, but 3 cups usually works for me. And then I'm adding 1/2 a teaspoon of salt to the flour, and I'm kind of mixing that around. I then add the yeast mixture to the flour mixture, and I usually use a stand mixer for this, but you can use a spatula, you can use your hands. I actually kind of give up on the spatula and start using my hands. The only reason I'm not using my stand mixer is because it was dirty. I prefer to not use my hands, but in this circumstance, I kind of had to. Then I pour that out once it's formed a shaggy dough onto my clean work surface. And I knead this with my hands for 10 minutes. So it is definitely a workout. Um, Make sure you're going to the gym if you're going to be doing this by hand for sure. I actually usually trade spots with my boyfriend when I'm kneading dough. I knead that until it forms a smooth ball, and then I get a clean mixing bowl, put some oil in it, and spread it around with a paper towel just to make sure it's completely coated. Then I put the dough ball in there and I make sure the dough ball itself is completely coated in oil on both sides. And I let that rest for an hour and 30 minutes with a towel covering it. Then, in about an hour and a half, when it's doubled in size, I make it into the loaf shape, which I roll it into a loaf shape and then pinch the top and the sides to make sure that they're fully closed. I kind of got this from watching people make sourdough a lot, but I didn't used to do it. And then I add that to my loaf pan and I cover that with a towel and set it on my stove while my oven warms up. My oven is set to 350 degrees and I put it in for 30 minutes, and this is what it looks like afterwards.